You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold, episode 17. Erica Rose, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be here finally with you.
Finally, I know. So today, let me introduce you a little bit. Today we welcome a special guest. You're used to the public eye. You have that coveted blue check mark on Instagram.
Yes.
So you're a wife, a mother, attorney, and let's not forget reality TV star sensation after watching your YouTube videos earlier today. Appearing on season 9 and then of The Bachelor, and then 2 seasons of Bachelor Pad. So welcome, Erica Rose. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So we first featured you on Lawyer Stories. That's lawyer_stories on Instagram.
Yes.
On October 17th, 2018. And Erica, let me just tell you first before we get into the questions,
Okay.
I want to say thank you for being so receptive to what I was doing. You were always so positive. You were always so supportive, and I really appreciate everything, all your support. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I appreciate all of your support always too.
Of course. So you're born and raised in Houston, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Emory grad, you went to Emory undergrad. We're going to dive in there. There's
my diploma.
There's a diploma. Awesome. So so tell me, I loved undergrad. I went to UMass Amherst.
Yeah.
What was your experience? Tell me what your experience was like at Emory.
It was really fun. Emory is a very work hard, play hard type of school. And so I was at the top of my class in high school. I went to a big public high school in Houston. It was so much fun. And I just thought Emory was going to be the same way, but everyone that went to Emory was at the top of their class in high school.
Right.
So I will say that it was challenging academically, but people love to study, hang out at the library, but then go out and party and have a good time. And when you're in college, you somehow are able to sleep 3 hours and still go to class and do all of it. So I had a great time. I was in a sorority. I had a lot of friends, and it was just really fun. But I will say that it wasn't the most academic experience for me.
Right.
The part that I was in college and getting a degree was kind of a side note to the focus of myself in college.
Well, college is a socialization.
Yeah.
For people, and you were an A-Phi, right? So
I was an A-Phi.
That's
I was an English creative writing major and a theater minor, so I have no idea what I thought that I was going to do with those degrees. I had no interest in going to law school at the time. And it wasn't the easiest. English was kind of an easy major, I guess. It's a good skill to have as a lawyer to be a good writing, to be a good writer. Creative writing too.
Yep.
And I feel I use my theater minor the most, even in litigation. It's funny because my husband and law partner was a theater major at A&M. And I find a lot of lawyers were theater majors or minors, actually.
That's interesting.
A lot of litigators.
You're going in front of you're being a trial attorney or whatever. It's a show, right? So I have a question about your sorority because I was big into my fraternity at UMass. I was a founding father of ZBT. Yeah. Did you hold a position there, an AFI?
No, I was a rush captain. I guess I was a rush captain my senior year. Maybe that was the position in charge of recruiting and helping the girls freshman year going through rush. Because at Emory we did second semester rush, not first semester.
Okay.
So, I think I was called a Rokai. That's what they called us. But we were rush captains, and we had to hide the identity of our sorority though, and guide the girls through the process. And it was funny because none of my girls even thought I was an A-Phi. They all thought I was in a different sorority because I don't know why, they could have probably found out, but that was before the days of social. We had Facebook, but social media wasn't as big. So we were able to keep it a secret.
Excellent. So you graduate you're done with Emory. And then is that when you had the idea to go on The Bachelor? Like my question,
Yeah.
I usually ask, so here's the thing, like, my big question that I like to find out from attorneys, which prompts a lot of lawyer stories, is like, when did you find out? When was that like moment that you wanted to be an attorney? But I'm gonna ask you a different question because I know, we'll get into that
different,
answer. Like, so like, when did you know you
So,
were gonna be on like The Bachelor? Like, was that?
so after law school, after college, after Emory, I moved back to Houston because I was in a very serious, I was in a relationship and it seemed kind of serious to me at the time. We were long distance my senior year of college because he graduated a year before me, but we were talking about getting married and everything. And then I was also reporting on a local show in Houston called Wild About Houston, and I was there as a reporter, and that was really fun. And then my boyfriend had to move to New York, which is really cool. And I just didn't want to move with him. And because I realized that I didn't think he was the one, and he was really ready to get married and have a family, and he's a great person and he's doing well in life. But I think we just weren't 100% made for each other. And now luckily we both found the right people that were, and he found the right person as soon as we broke up. But anyway, so I was newly single and I wasn't even really depressed about it because I was 22, almost 23.
Yeah.
My dad saw an ad in the Houston Chronicle,
Right.
paper, about The Bachelor coming, recruiting people, auditioning, whatever, from Houston. And the Bachelor of the season was this Prince Lorenzo Borghese.
Right. He's a prince.
And I thought he was cute. And I'm like, he's cute. And he's a prince. That's really cool. And so I figured, why not? I got together with two of my girlfriends and we went down to the audition. It was at the ABC news station. And we just did it. And I don't know if I kind of had a good feeling about it. But then I got a call back and one thing led to the next and was flown out to LA and then I got cast.
So was the call out really quick? You probably crushed the interview, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so. And then, the funny thing I did was wear a tiara to the interview because of the prince. Before that, I had literally only worn one once, and that was on my 23rd birthday because it was my birthday. But I did, and so in the interview and the callback, they were like, "Do you wear this tiara every day?" And I was like, "Of course not." It would be really weird. And they're like, "Oh, come on, just say that you do," And so I could already tell they were kind of coaching me. And like I said, I was a theater minor. So I wanted to go along with it because I thought it was a lot of fun. Before that, my favorite show was The Apprentice, and I was a big fan of Omarosa. Yep. Ended up meeting her later on. She told me she loved how I was on the show too. And so it was mutual. But that was kind of my idea, was just to be a very polarizing character. And
that's some, and you say character.
I was having fun.
Sorry,
what?
You say character, polarizing character.
Yeah, I wanted to be I always tell people when they're like, how do I get on the show or how do I get on a reality show? I'm like, be yourself, but be the most interesting version of yourself.
Right. You have to kind of do something a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do.
To sort of get acknowledged, I think, to bring attention a little bit. If you want to.
You have to.
But you want to be yourself, so that's good.
Yeah.
But so when
I was ready to find love. Like I said, I was just out of a really serious relationship. But of course, in my mind, I'm like, this guy's a prince. That's really, really cool. Who wouldn't want to be a princess? I'm sorry, we all do. And I ended up making a lifelong friend. Lorenzo himself, he's still single. He came to my husband and I's wedding.
At your wedding, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really excited to tell everyone, guys, we're having royalty at our wedding. But it was cool.
That's amazing. So where was that line? Your first, the season of your Bachelor to going to law school, where was that?
So I was on The Bachelor, and then after the show, I went on Ellen DeGeneres, and while I was in LA for Ellen, I decided I wanted to move there. So I ran and found an apartment, and then I got a job at Paramount Pictures through a friend as a page, which was if anyone's seen the show Third Rock, I don't know, or Third Rock from I don't know, something like that. There was a page on that show. It's the show with Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey.
Pardon me.
There was a page on there. You have to wear a uniform. It's not a glamorous job. You get paid. You're not an intern, but it's climbing your way up to the studio. But it was a lot of work. And my brother at the time, still my brother, but at the time of that, my brother decided that he was going to law school. And I just thought about it and felt like it seemed like a really good idea, because he was doing it and we've always been really close. We're
Right.
basically twins. He went to Emory with me.
Did you say you're twins?
We like to think of ourselves as twins. We're a year apart, and
You're
so
part. Okay.
we have like that same ESP thing that twins have. Anyway,
Is he a year older?
yeah, I'm a year older.
Oh, you're a year older. Okay.
We decided to go to law school right out of college, and so then I just kind of decided to copy him. And I only had a month to study for my LSAT, and I did it. I hired a tutor and did well enough on my LSAT to get into University of Houston, which is where my brother was going. I was also homesick and didn't want to stay in LA, so I moved back to Houston and went to law school there.
Was law school your first year after the Bachelor or no?
2 years after.
2 years after. Let me
I
ask you about.
started it 2 years after, at 25.
Let me ask you about law school, Erica. Like,
Okay.
what was your first year? Like, what? Tell me.
So luckily I decided to start law school part-time.
Oh, okay.
That was the right option. And I liked it because I was with people that were older, even though I was 25. For some reason, 22 and 25 back then seemed like a huge age difference. And so my brother was 22 and he was like with all the 22-year-olds, and I'd hang out with them. But the people I was with in law school were older. They all had careers, and I had still my past career. And they all had were married and had other lives going on. So it wasn't like we were back in college, but it felt like with the other one, I was like my brother's year or his section, college again, and it was like fun, and I liked hanging out with them. But I also liked that I was doing it my way. I think it would have been super overwhelming for me to start.
Yeah.
Considering I had
So like with law school, like what was your biggest do you have a challenge like that you can name? Like
for me, the challenge was just maintaining my schedule because a year into law school, I was asked to appear on a show on VH1 called You're Cut Off, and so I did. And I had to not even take a semester off, just do independent research that semester. And my law school was so amazing. I'm so happy with them. I'm not sure if every law school would have been as good as mine that way.
That's great.
The University of Houston, but they were really accommodating to me. They let me switch around between being full-time and part-time whenever I felt like it.
Wow.
Whenever I was filming something. I filmed 3 shows while I was in law school. You're Cut Off on VH1, Bachelor Pad season 2, and Bachelor Pad 3. But not only that, I was constantly flying back to LA for appearances on Dr. Phil and just different things.
I saw the whole. Yeah. So stopped right there. I saw your YouTube video that included Dr. Phil. That was really.
Yeah,
really
it was cool.
But
some of the other students were cool about it, and then other times I felt kind of like an outsider because I was living such a different life than they were.
Right. So
that was tough.
What was it like? So you're in your between law school, you're working at this show, You're Cut Off. All your maybe your friends or your acquaintances from law school are hey,
so what are you doing? It was hard for them to relate to what I was doing because they were just in a continuation of college, most of them, because at that point I'd switched to full-time for at least a semester. And so they were living normal lives with their apartments and their dogs, which I also was doing too. I felt like I was not living a double life in a sneaky way, but it was I was a law student doing my normal thing and then flying off to LA and filming. And then the shows always were airing around when school started, in September. So it's just kind of funny. And I definitely felt like there wasn't anyone at my particular law school in Houston that could 100% relate to me.
So being in the entertainment business, when you're flying off to film that, and then you're coming back to law school and you're seeing these kids, because, obviously, I've seen it too. These students are hyper focused on the law.
Yeah.
You're you have this thing in your mind. You're man, entertainment, it's dope. I'm out there, it's cool. How did you, did you ever were you ever what am I doing in law school?
There was a lot of times I just didn't know if I wanted to keep going in law school. Because everything was happening in LA. It was before our world was so virtual. And so I definitely missed out on a lot of opportunities being trapped in Houston because I could only miss a certain amount of days. And some of my professors would wink at me and tell me that they weren't going to stress out if I was gone, and other ones were more hardcore about it. For whatever reason, my favorite professors were always grandpas, and they were so nice and the coolest ones. Younger male professors, never as usually as nice. Sometimes they were. I don't know why, but these like grandfatherly ones were like the coolest. And they were always like, oh, don't worry. It's okay if you miss class. Like, I won't tell anyone. But anyway, so it was weird. But I was so busy that I didn't have time to sit around thinking that it was weird.
So was it a 3-year program or 4? It was a 4.
What?
Was it a 4-year program or 3?
Yeah. So like I said, U of H let me kind of tailor my own thing.
Okay.
And so, yes, when I started, I graduated with the people that I started with part-time.
That's great. So
Last semester, I only had to like take 2 credits left, I think. And so I was doing independent research from LA that semester.
Yep.
And
then
graduation, and I got to graduate with everyone who I had started school with. My brother graduated a year before me, and so he got to hood me at my graduation, which was really special to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then
4 years, but then on top of that, I went to LA and got my LLM in entertainment and media law after that, because I did take entertainment law at U of H, and the guy like taught straight from the book, like literally didn't even care about hearing about my experiences when we were talking about reality TV contracts, which was frustrating to me.
Wow, really?
Really know a lot. And so I just felt like I thought it made sense for me. Like, I am in the entertainment industry and I am in law school, so I need to do entertainment and media law. And U of H is an amazing law school for a lot of things, but not for entertainment law. And if I would have known going into law school that I wanted to do that, I should have went to Southwestern in LA to begin with at the Biederman Law Institute, but I didn't. And so that's why I decided to get my LLM there. And that was a really amazing and challenging program.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I was looking at that, and so how, like, that's even more credible. Like you're like, I'm gonna go even further in the law, but like, so like tell me about
it was another thing I did that copied my brother, by the way. He was an LLM. He got a JD MBA at U of H, but then he randomly went and got an LLM in environmental and energy law at Tulane. So I never even really knew what the point of an LLM was until he decided to do that. And that's
why. He's not a reality superstar, right? Like he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
No.
But he inspired me to get an LLM.
So tell me about LLM school. Like how long was the school? And like,
so I did it, and I completed my LLM in a year. Most people did it in around 1.5 to 2 years. A lot of the people I started the program with, some of them, we all obviously had to have JDs. Some of them were already licensed in another state, like Colorado, or, and they were coming for the same reasons as me. And because they wanted to do entertainment media law, and wherever they went to school back in Colorado or back in Maine or Michigan or wherever it was, they could. One of them, I know, you're from Maine too. I feel like one of my friends there was from Maine. One of them was from Venezuela. Like, it attracted an international crowd too. But for whatever, like, no one that went there for their LLM had gone to a JD in California. There were people there that were in the JD program that already knew from the get-go that since they were in college that they wanted to be an entertainment lawyer. They had gone to USC, majored in film, and now they were there to become an entertainment lawyer, so it wasn't necessary for them to get their LLM. But it was all for similar people like me that either had worked in the industry in a different country or just had an interest in it randomly. And
so you said it was how long, the LLM program?
I did it. It took me a year, and that was with a full-time course load both semesters.
So do they do like the Socratic method and stuff there, or what?
Yeah, they did in certain classes.
Okay. So all right. So I'm gonna move away from the law for a second.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Mazel Tov to you for meeting Charles Sanders, like another.
Find a picture. There he is.
Another attorney, really nice guy. Like I enjoyed our time, like on our random call with my wife, and Charles called you one night and we talked for a few minutes. It was great.
I know, I loved it.
So like, tell me, like, how did you? So he's somebody you knew from high school. Like, tell us how you reunited.
So we knew each other casually in high school, never dated, just had similar groups of friends and hung out like a handful of times and everything like that. We're Facebook friends, so we kept in touch here and there. We weren't necessarily like always on each other's radars, and we reconnected when we both moved back to Houston, and I moved back from LA and he moved back from Miami. And it was funny because at that time we were both law school graduates, but had been working in other industries, and we were not yet licensed. And so we planned our wedding really fast around when we wanted to take the bar exam. That was like the motivation for getting our wedding done with, so that we could sit around and study together.
That's amazing. So regarding your wedding, like that's such a great segue, because so People Magazine like did an article on you on December 4th, 2017 about an over the top wedding. And so, but that's fine.
Over the top.
And that's totally cool. But the part that I was most curious about is they started the paragraph with Erica Rose is an unforgettable name to most Bachelor fans. So why do you think they wrote like why are you an unforgettable name to like?
I think just because I was like a larger than life character, I guess.
That's amazing. Like, Mazel tov. That's incredible.
Thanks. It was fun. It made me feel really good that a lot of my friends, including Prince Lorenzo, including other castmates, flew in town for our wedding. And that's part of the reason I had it in Houston and not like at a random destination, as it's easy to fly into Houston. I wanted it to be affordable, and I wanted to celebrate with like some of my favorite people.
Yeah.
To do that.
Sure.
Friends were really happy for me, especially my Bachelor friends, even the ones that were single, because they were like, the show is all about finding love, and they're like, you found love. It's inspiring.
Yeah, no, that's true. And Charles, and I read like the highlight of that. Like I read like Charles had a hot pink yarmulke.
Yes,
like,
he did.
That's amazing. Do you have any of those left? Like I'd love one of those. So
it was cute. It was our like color scheme was cherry, but somehow his yarmulke was hot pink, and it was super cute.
Yeah, you had the backdrop, and the prince was there. So
yeah,
it's sort of like, you end a chapter there and like you're on to the new one. So, but I do want to go back to the old chapter, because one thing concerned me. I read an article about Erica Rose, my friend from Lawyer Stories and Instagram. You can make friends on social media. It's an amazing world we live in these days. So
I know, right?
I know. So bullying, like, okay, so I have to ask this, like, what the I'm not going to curse on my show, but like they painted bullseyes on women's back.
It was
like did they ever get away with that? Like, what the heck is that?
But it was very, very traumatic and not PC, and the show would never do that now. But we had to paint bullseyes on our backs and have literal eggs thrown at us, and they would ask mean-spirited questions like, who is the least attractive person in the house? And get attacked with eggs. And it was very disturbing to me. And that was taping over the summer. And I didn't have time to like sit around and process it, because like I said, I was actually taking a summer class that summer so I could get my credits in. So like I just finished filming that like very disturbing experience.
Right.
Back to Houston. I was taking like gaming and casino law, which was an easy class, luckily. But that was a fun class. But I went to do that, and then literally the show was always airing in September. And so like that school would start, and that's when it was airing. And like my professors would tell, like especially one would tell me he was watching it. And that episode was like, it was really embarrassing, and it was really hard to watch. And I knew that like my classmates and professors were watching it. It made me feel really exposed.
How did they get away with? I mean, has the world progressed this much in 3 years? That, because I feel like, wow, I read that and I'm like, that is absurd. Like I like, and I don't want to, in case anybody's watching this, like I like the whole idea of like the Bachelor, Bachelorette. Like I have a good friend from my time in New Haven who was on the Bachelorette. But it's like, man, I believe they did something like that.
I've received a private apology from Mike Weiss, the executive producer.
Oh, wow.
A public acknowledgement from them saying like, wow, guys, this was really messed up. Good thing we don't do that like stuff anymore, because that was crazy. And that would be,
but they aired it, right? Like they still aired it?
Yeah, they aired it.
Okay.
It was a different time. The Me Too movement had not happened yet, and bullying was not allowed.
Right.
Know?
So like you're overall like grateful for is it safe to say, and like, is it you're overall grateful for your reality TV?
Yeah, so people ask me like, oh, would you go back in time and not do it? I'm like, you know what? I would do Bachelor. I would do my VH1 show, but I wouldn't have done, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done Bachelor Pad. And that's why Bachelor Pad no longer exists. Now they replaced it with Bachelor in Paradise, because they did actually realize as a franchise that it was a mean-spirited show, that it
Is
wasn't
that the Bullseye show, Bachelor Pad?
Bachelor Pad.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay. So that wasn't the
Yeah,
Bachelor.
they don't do that. Like the season I was on was the last season of that, and they replaced it with a nicer show called Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah,
So like
sure.
that show's not, but yeah, the show is still on demand. It's on HBO Max. So that negative content is still out there, which I kind of don't like. But so it's mixed feelings. Like, yes, I would have done The Bachelor. That was super positive, but no, Bachelor Pad was so negative that I wouldn't have done it, honestly. Like if I would go back and they would have called and said, hey, will you do this? I would say no, thanks. And that would be that, because I still already had done the show and had a great experience. And I would have wanted to just like keep it at that, you know?
So you would have just kept it at your Bachelor experience.
Yeah. Because Bachelor Pad didn't add anything positive to my life.
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah. So, like, how is like The Bachelor? Let's like cancel out The Bachelor Pad. How is The Bachelor still part of your identity today?
It kind of is, and it's kind of not at the same time, which is weird. Like, I don't randomly expect people to like when you and I connected, you didn't know that I'd done that. So I don't expect people to automatically know. So I'm surprised, like not pleasantly surprised, but I used to expect it at the time it was airing, but now like clients or anyone, I never anticipate that they're going to know that. I leave it to someone to bring it up. But sometimes people will tell me, oh, you look so familiar or this and that. And they want me to secretly tell them, but I never will. I just want them to like directly ask me. And then I'll say, yeah, I did.
Right.
You know? But if they Google me, but like, I don't know, do that many people Google their lawyers? Maybe.
Oh, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I think they would. Yeah.
So it comes up with certain clients. And then if others know about it, I'll have no idea because they don't bring it up. So like, we just don't talk about it. I'll never like tell that to a client randomly because I don't think it relates to them. Unless it's a reality or entertainment client. And then I tell them because that is relevant to my experience with contracts. If it's a family law client, I don't offer it up. Like it has nothing to do with their custody situation.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, like, you know, looking at social media, I used to think back in my heyday, which 15 years ago, you know, 03, whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking like MTV Real World would be amazing. Like if they came to the beach where I visit in the summer, I hang out in the summer, you know, Old Orchard Beach, Real World, Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Like I had a couple friends, like we would have, you know, it would have been fun. So I have to say, like, I respect you 100% what you did. And like,
it was fun.
I never regret anything. I know it's hard to say, but like, you know, I think like watching like that YouTube video and like knowing you now, like even through like Instagram and like how, like, I know like the soul, I feel like I know the soul you are. And I think it's you know, it's a great thing. And I think like, you know, you're very talented. So congratulations to you too, you know?
I just feel like everything in life is meant to happen, whether it's positive or negative. If you're in a happy place that you're with today, then it's like, you have to realize everything was part of that journey.
Oh, for sure. That's what Lawyer Stories is all about, right? Like we all have a story. Like everybody has a story. Yeah. It's amazing. So,
and I love reading the other lawyer stories. You know, there's people that were pro athletes and just had really from different countries and just had all kinds of interesting experiences. And then there's also people that like have known since they were like 10 that they wanted to be a lawyer. And I think that, and my husband was one of those people.
Right.
And I think that's also really cool that someone like knew since they were a kid, like, this is what I want to do. I want to be an advocate and do this. So I feel like every story is pretty unique, but it's interesting.
Great. Yeah, no, I'm really glad you're enjoying it. I'm really glad you're a part of it. And I'm really glad we connected. So tell me now, let's skip forward. You have 2 lovely daughters. And like, how do you balance like being a mom? Like you have a business, your business in a minute, but like, how do you work-life balance?
I had to start my own practice to balance it because when my older daughter was 2 and my younger was 2 months old is when I started working at a really big family law firm in town. And I learned so much so fast, but I would like leave before the kids were up and come home when they were sleeping. And like, it was really, really hard on me because I like to be really hands-on as a mom.
Yeah.
And I felt like that it was weird that I was sitting around advocating for other people's families all day, yet I was not involved in my own. And I was literally not okay with that. And I wanted to work with them to find a flexible solution, but they just said, I'm sorry, like you're new and we expect you to work the same hours as anyone would, whether they have kids or not. And the other moms that were moms had been there longer, so they did have a little more flexibility, and it just was what it was. So I had to take that priority of being a mom and go off and start my own practice. And that's what I did. And the first year was really challenging. I constantly questioned that decision. It was very lonely. I missed the environment of having like a ton of people around me, like at the first. But then when my husband was working at a different job, and then when he decided to join me and we became partners, finally it feels good. And finally it feels like, obviously I'm not alone anymore. And we office with other lawyers. So there's still fun, happy things happening all around us. One of my good friends who's a lawyer told me to come and join him in his office. And that's how I started in this building. And then that's how my husband's office is literally like across the hall from mine. And so we love it and we're happy now. But it was a weird road. Like, of course, I regretted my decision. I was making an amazing salary at that big firm. In your first year, you're lucky if you break even, but finally things are doing well, and now I'm happy.
Yeah. Great. And I think when we featured you the first time, like the data.
I was at the firm.
At the firm, right? And you were super pumped, and like,
yeah.
I want to feature you. Lawyer Stories wants to feature you, like, and Charles, like.
Yeah, Charles is like, when am I getting my lawyer story? He keeps
What's that?
Charles keeps asking when he's gonna get his lawyer.
Yeah, have him write it up. He can send it free of charge. It's our.
He's like, I want my lawyer story. I'm like, okay, babe.
It's our pleasure. Like, we want to do that for you. So, and I'm so happy for you. Like, congratulations on like the first year of your firm, and like you're doing the right thing, because you know what? Like, we're all young. Like, you have so many years, and
you're not that old yet.
Learn.
It's true.
So like now you'll keep going, and I'm sure your dad I've seen in like videos, and he's a professional. Like, he could tell
he's
you.
Really proud of me. Like, he was really proud of me to be at that firm. But at the same time, like, he's in private practice himself.
Right.
He gets it, He was invited to join all these hospitals on their staff. He never chose to, because he likes to be his own boss, and that's my personality too. And also, like, I love that I can hang out with my kids in the morning, come when I want, and like, I wake up with them every morning. I put them to bed every night, and when school is happening, right now it's not, I can pick them up from school. It's like, it's just really great. And with technology, we can constantly be working wherever we are.
For sure. And so congratulations.
Zoom hearings. I love Zoom mediations. I feel like the virus has changed the legal practice for the better, at least for me.
Do you like Zoom podcasts? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I love Zoom podcasts. I'm all about that Zoom.
Right on. So what's the most challenging part of having your own firm? Like,
well, I'll say like the most challenging part was the first year. Before, like when I was just on my own, and I found my friend connected me with this really nice law student who was kind of like my just assistant. She did everything I needed her help with. She was really a fast learner and amazing. And so I didn't have a paralegal, but I had her, and it was great to have her. But at the same time, I was the only lawyer, and so it felt like everything was on me. Every major legal decision, everything was on me. And that was scary. And then also when I would compare like how much I would take in minus overhead expenses, and then comparing that to my salary at the other firm, it was like not as good. And so that I felt bad, like, and, guilty, like, did I make the wrong decision? But now that my husband's a partner, and that's just been since like April, things, and now we're Rose Sanders. But
congratulations, Rose Sanders firm.
Yeah, Rose Sanders law firm.
Amazing.
Really taken off. The virus has been amazing for our business, which is weird, but it just has. Really? It's weird timing, because he became partners with me around the exact same time COVID happened. So I can't decide if it's both or one or the next, but either way, our business was like picked up so much. My husband's a workaholic. He doesn't have outside passions or things outside of being a lawyer. And that's good, I think, for him. I have so many outside activities and interests and things, and besides being a mom too, and just like other things I'm always up to. So I feel like we're a really great balance that way.
That's terrific. Like, I'm super excited for you guys, and that's just great stuff. We've featured a lot of people from Houston, so I'm hoping like maybe a firm will fly me down there, and we could do a little
let's do it.
Stories, like meet and greet. Anyway,
not a virtual one, but like an in-person one. That would be cool.
Why not? So, do you have any more plans for reality TV?
I just
wait, don't say it. besides being the next Judge Judy?
Besides that,
Or not besides that, but that's your thing, right? Like,
I mean, I would love to do that. That was always my idea. We'll see if
right.
that happens. But if not, I'm really in love with the network Bravo. It's like my new fave.
Really?
So if there's ever a Real Housewives of Houston, sign me up. If I have to move to Dallas, we're licensed there too. That's an option. But we'll see, about that.
No,
But
that's
I'm like self-producing or anything right now.
no, it's cool because I've seen a lot of your social media things on
Mhm.
Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and like you say, you want to be like you want to have a show like Judge Judy, and like
Yeah.
what I find is interesting is like I thought like, do you remember the show The People's Court?
Mm-hmm.
So like I thought Harvey Levin had like the coolest job ever. Like he'd go out,
Yeah.
like analyze the law. He'd ask the people like, "What do you guys think of this case? Like,
Right.
did the plaintiffs win? Like, what do you think about the defense?"
Mhm.
Like, I thought that was the ideal job, and you thought
Yeah.
like, so it's
I still
I
think
feel
Judge
it.
Judy is really cool because she's
I
so
feel
funny.
it.
That's what I like about her. She's really funny. I
Yes.
feel like I have a similar sense of humor as her, and I just love her delivery. Also, she's a great like judge, and I always agree with her decisions. But now I feel like it's random because Chrissy Teigen randomly has a court show on QB, and she's obviously not a lawyer. So I feel like I don't know if I'm all
She
into
has a
that.
court. Wait, she's not a lawyer, but she's
Chrissy Teigen, you know who Chrissy Teigen is, right?
hell yeah.
Supermodel, and she's John Legend's wife, and she randomly has like a show on QB. It's a streaming platform that's like 3 minutes long, and she's not a real judge, so the decisions aren't binding. She hasn't. I don't think she went to college, but I'm like, it kind of like takes away from that dream to me. I think she's amazing. She's a huge celebrity. Everyone's obsessed with her. I get it. But if any random celebrity could have a court show, then it's like, well, you obviously don't need to be a lawyer to have one,
You know what, Erica Rose? Let me just tell you, like, we're young. Hopefully, life is long.
We hope
Practice
so.
for a couple more years. You weigh your options. We collaborate on Instagram and other social media, and you never know what's going to happen. Like, I think
It's
you've done a
true.
terrific job so far. You have a great story. Like with everything you've done, like it's super cool. And like being a new friend of yours, like here in the
Yeah.
Northeast, like an Instagram buddy, like I think it's super cool. Like I'm really like I'm intrigued
I
by a
think
lot
what
of
you've
stuff.
done is really cool too, creating this amazing network.
Thank
And
you.
made other friends through Lawyer Stories. Like I love Monica, who I met through Lawyer Stories. I feel like I know her and we've never met in person, but like when you're constantly watching, we all have that virtual happy hour together. And then when you're constantly keeping up with people's Instagram stories, you're like, oh, I know her. She's my
Yeah.
friend. Or I feel like we're friends. And that's the coolest thing about our world today,
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too.
about social media.
It's great, but never give up on like you've come so far, and like you have an amazing family, a husband, like everything, practice.
Yeah.
Give up on the dream of having that court show. Like it's gonna happen.
Being the next Judge Judy.
It'll happen. Like why not? So
You never know. Nancy Grace and Judge Judy are both older than me, so there is still time.
that's what I'm saying. And everybody should go Google and watch Erica Rose's YouTube. It's like Erica Rose. It's like 5 minutes. It's amazing.
Funny.
It's great. You did a great job. Like I think it's really
It was a lot of fun, that's for sure.
So is there anything you want to say to like the lawyer shorts community, and just in case anybody's like
we would appreciate any support that you could give to our, I guess, new firm, because now we're partners. So it's Rose Sanders Law on Instagram. I'm Erica the Rose. But we love connecting with other lawyers anyway. Like we actually message now with some other Lawyer Stories people that we met on the happy hour.
that's great.
And we just love that. And honestly, even though we're in different states sometimes and we have different jurisdictions and everything, we can still like exchange advice occasionally. And so it's cool. And like just talking about that work-life balance, whether or not you're a parent, but if you are, it's even more relatable sometimes. It's just fun to connect. And we're both like very inviting people that love connecting with new people, especially other lawyers too.
For sure. That's 100%. Erica totally answered a random call one night when I was like, hey, Karen, my wife, let me introduce you to Erica and Charles. And we Facebook called them and we had a little video chat for 20 minutes. Super cool, like great firms.
It
Totally.
was fun to finally meet your wife too.
What's that?
Yeah, it was fun to meet your wife, and next we have to do it with the kids.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's set it up. What
would
else
be
do we
crazy.
have to do during this time, right?
Yeah, let's get
So
all the
Lawyer Stories can be found on Instagram at lawyer_stories. We have a website, thelawyerstories.com. We also have a Facebook community and the podcast, which we're building. And we so appreciate Erica Rose being here today. A celebrity, like reality star, and a great attorney and family woman. So
thanks, Ben.
Erica, I think
His name is Ben too.
What's up?
My brother's name is Benjamin.
And by the way, let me just say, like, you're such a great sister. Like, I saw you
Okay.
and like, doing all these things for your brother, and like that was super
I
cool.
know, I really am. He really needs to realize that. I'm just kidding.
So, all right, so we're good. Like, I mean, I think it was a great time, and
yeah, it was so fun.
to all the listeners out there, if you've made it to this point, I like to say, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.
The Lawyer Stories podcast is produced by Marketing the Law. Are you looking at your social presence every day? Potential clients are. Learn how to magnetize your brand with the help of Marketing the Law. Find us on Instagram at Marketing the Law to learn more.